Hi, Samantha here at the Amoretti Test Kitchen. Today, I'm going to be showing you how to make these adorable Vanilla Pumpkin Patch Cupcakes. These are so good, perfect for any fall occasion. They are as fun to make as they are to eat, I promise you. We are going to be using our natural vanilla bean Artisan flavor for the cupcake base. I'm going to be using our vanilla Madagascar bourbon extract in the frosting. And for our adorable little pumpkins on top, we are going to be using our Almond Modeling Marzipan. The first thing you're going to want to do is preheat your oven to 350 degrees and line your muffin tin with cupcake liners. Now we are going to whisk together our flour, our baking powder, and just a pinch of salt. Let's set this aside, and now I'm going to heat up our milk and our butter. That way it incorporates in the mixture just a little bit better and helps prevent overmixing. So now we have our butter and our milk in a microwave-safe bowl. I'm going to pop this in the microwave for bursts of 30 seconds at a time for about a minute and a half. That way everything gets nice and warm, the butter melts, and it will be super easy to mix. So now I'm going to crack 2 eggs in this bowl and whip them up until they have tripled in size. So with my handheld mixer on speed 6, I'm going to whip this up for about 30 seconds, and then I'm going to add in our sugar. Now I'm going to be adding in our sugar 3/4 of a cup, 1/4 of a cup at a time, with the beater still going. Now that all of our sugar is in the bowl, we are going to continue beating this on high for about 6 minutes until it has tripled in volume and it is almost white. Okay, there we go. It's been about 6 minutes and our mixture is looking nice and creamy, almost white, and has tripled in volume. Now we are going to add in 1/3 of this bowl of flour at a time, mixing in between. Make sure to stop as soon as you see the flour mixture being mixed in. You don't want to overmix and run the risk of your cupcakes falling. We're just going to keep it on low. Make sure to scrape down your bowl in between when you're pouring your flour, so that way all of the flour gets incorporated and you don't have any weird dry pockets of flour in your cupcakes. Now we are going to set this aside for just a moment and work on our milk mixture. Now in your empty flour bowl, we are going to pour in our warm milk and butter, our vegetable oil, and now we are going to add in our vanilla bean Artisan. Now I'm going to add in about 3/4 of a cup of our batter, so that way just everything mixes nicely. And now we whisk. This is where you can get a little vigorous. You want it to look slightly foamy. So now that our mixture is completely combined, we are going to add this in to the rest of our batter. We're going to turn our hand mixer on low and pour this in slowly over 15 seconds. Okay, now our batter is ready to go in the muffin tin. Now remember, when you're filling your muffin tin, you do not want to overfill. You want to fill to about 3/4 of the way full. That way we don't have a lopsided cupcake when it comes out of the oven, and we have a nice even surface to create our little pumpkin patch scene on. And now into the oven they go for about 20 to 25 minutes. So now I'm going to show you how to make the adorable little pumpkins that will go on top of our pumpkin patch cupcakes using our Almond Modeling Marzipan. So now, wearing gloves, I'm going to be scooping out some marzipan to roll into our pumpkins. So you're just going to work it in your hands just a little bit to get it nice and softened up, and then you are going to roll it out. I'm using a silicone baking mat to do this on. You could also use parchment paper or wax paper, anything that will give you a nice, clean, non-stick surface. Now I'm going to cut these into various shapes because we want pumpkins that are in all shapes and sizes to make it look realistic. Now you're just going to take them and roll them into a ball in the palm of your hands. It does not have to be a perfect ball. No pumpkin is a perfect circle. So now we are just going to slightly flatten out the tops. And there you go. A nice, cute little pumpkin shape. We're going to do that to all of these, and then we're going to add some detail. Now keep in mind that you do want them all to look slightly different, just like when you go to the pumpkin patch and see pumpkins of all shapes, sizes, and colors. So now that we have the pumpkin base done, we are going to make a couple cute little stems. Same process, just grab a little bit out, work it in your hands, and roll it out, this time into a thinner, small tube. Now with a butter knife, we are going to take just a tiny little bit of this and roll it in between our fingers to make a small stem. For the stem, you want one side that is going to be slightly fatter and another side that is going to be skinnier, the top of the stem. Make sure that you're making stems that match the size of your pumpkins. So if you have mostly big pumpkins, make sure to have mostly big stems. If you have mostly small pumpkins, make your stems slightly smaller. Just like the pumpkins, your stems should be in all shapes and sizes. Some long and skinny, some short and fat. You can make some of them curved and some of them straight. So now we are going to add a little bit more detail on the base of our pumpkin. We are going to just press our toothpick lightly into the marzipan pumpkin to form our pumpkin lines. I like to do one in the center all the way around the pumpkin and then use that as my base. From there, it's fine if it's a little bit lopsided. No pumpkin is completely symmetrical. And then press it in lightly to create the rest of the lines. And there you have it, a cute little pumpkin. And now we're just going to repeat that process on all these other little pumpkins. So now we are ready to airbrush our pumpkins. If you don't have an airbrush available, you can also use food coloring and knead it into the marzipan before you make your pumpkins. But because of the concentration of our Almond Modeling Marzipan, it does create inconsistent color. So we always do recommend an airbrush when working with our Almond Modeling Marzipan. So I'm going to be airbrushing our pumpkins a beautiful orange color. I want it to be bright and vibrant, just like a fresh, ripe pumpkin. When using an airbrush, you're going to want to do 3 parts of either vodka or Everclear and 1 part food coloring. Now, ideally, when airbrushing marzipan, you would want to have this done at least 24 hours before you plan on assembling your pumpkin patch cupcakes. So keep that in mind if you decide to make this recipe, to do this step first a day before you want to make your cupcakes and frost them and serve them. So before I turn this on, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about how it works. I'm going to be pouring our airbrush color into the little bowl and using this trigger to disperse the color. Let's get started. Make sure to turn your pumpkins and get all of the sides of the pumpkin so you don't have any white showing on your cupcakes. Make sure you do this on a silicone baking mat or some parchment paper so that way you don't stain your countertops. Another optional step, you can flip your pumpkins upside down and get the bottom of the pumpkin as well, but that is not necessary because that will be covered by the grass on our cupcakes. Okay, now we are done airbrushing our pumpkins. Let's clean this up a little bit and move on to our stems. Now always be sure to clean your airbrush bowl in between colors. Get a white paper towel, you can also use a white bowl, and turn the airbrush on and run it through a couple times with just warm water. You're gonna see the color come out very, very lightly at first, and then you know it's clean when your water runs clear. It is now time to color our stems brown. This is a little bit trickier just because they're lighter, so the airbrush tends to blow them around a little bit. I'm gonna share a quick little tip with you. I like to use the jar of the modeling marzipan and stick all of my little stems in there to airbrush them in there so they won't blow around. And once you are done, if you still have modeling marzipan in your jar, no worries, you just give it a quick little wash and all the color should come right out. Okay, let's get started. You can use a little toothpick to move them around to make sure that you've got all of the sides completely covered in your brown color. They don't look very appetizing right now, but I promise you, once they are on your pumpkins, they are gonna look so adorable. So now our cupcakes are out of the oven and have completely cooled to the touch. Let's get started on our frosting. So today for frosting, I'm going to be using a buttercream. You can use whatever buttercream recipe you like the best. Today I'm going to be making mine slightly stiffer so that when I pipe the grass, it stays. First, we're going to be using our butter. Now I'm going to be doing about 3.5 or 4 cups of powdered sugar just to make it super stiff. I'm going to start off on a slow setting so I don't make a mess. So now I am going to add a teaspoon of our Madagascar bourbon vanilla extract. I will also be adding in 2 tablespoons of milk. I'm also going to be adding a small pinch of salt. So we want our buttercream to be green so it looks like grass. So I'm going to be using half a teaspoon of some powdered color pigment. I've mixed 2 different greens together to create the perfect color that I want, but you can do whatever shade of green you would prefer for your pumpkin patch cupcakes and make it as pigmented or as pastel as you want. We now have a beautiful color of green to go on our pumpkin patch cupcakes as grass. It's a beautiful consistency and it smells so good. So now we are going to fill our piping bag with this green frosting. I'm going to be using a grass tip, which is just a tip with multiple circular holes in it to make this grass pattern. Just drop that in your bag, get it to the bottom, and stick that in a jar. And there you have it. Let's cut the tip. You're going to want to hold the top tightly, and you are simply going to start about 1/8 of an inch away from the cupcake and simply pull up. And you have some nice, very cute little patches of grass. And just continue that around the outside of the cupcake, circling inwards. And there you have it, a cute little cupcake covered in grass, ready for a pumpkin. They have now dried completely to the touch. I gave them about 24 hours. So you're just going to want to stick your little stem right on top of your pumpkin and smush it down in there just a little bit. And there you have it, an adorable little pumpkin for your pumpkin patch cupcakes. Let's add just a couple more to make it feel more like a pumpkin patch. Adding on a tiny little stem to your pumpkin, stick it right on there, and again. Cute little pumpkin. So there you have it, adorable vanilla pumpkin patch cupcakes. These cupcakes aren't all looks though, they are also so delicious and perfect for families, any occasion. It's just so adorable you almost don't want to eat it, but it's too delicious not to. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this recipe just as much as I enjoyed making it. If you want to try this with your family, go ahead and tell us in the comments how much you love it. Also be sure to subscribe to our channel so you never miss a new recipe, tips and tricks, or testimonials from our awesome customers. You could also find us on social media as @Amoretti on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, and TikTok. Have a good one. Bye for now.